This is an audiobook written by Fuzzy Trojan entitled Living Free in the Robot Age. Chapter 2, about freedom. Once we were free. When America was first settled, many white women abandoned their own communities and joined the indigenous people. But this never happened in reverse. When asked what they liked about living with Native Americans, white women would invariably reply, "No one tells me what to do." This contrasted sharply with their own society, where women were the property of men who controlled and regulated their lives, and where they had very limited freedom. Anthropologists who study Indigenous people came to the same conclusion. Indigenous societies from anywhere on the planet were no coercion societies. This included Eskimo in frozen regions, as well as Australian Aborigines in the desert, and all hunter-gatherer societies in between. Nobody told others what they should do. It was assumed that everyone was in charge of their lives and knew what to do. This applied to everybody, whatever their age, including toddlers. In her book, The Continuum Concept, Jean Liedloff explores reasons why the indigenous Yukwana Amazon people seem to be much happier than her European friends. She writes that babies were never put down until they themselves decided to get down from their mother's lap, and a young boy who decided to live with an adjacent clan announced his intentions and went freely without parental restriction. Liedloff discovered that nobody told others what to do. This high level of freedom was accompanied by a self-assured dignity, an underlying feeling of security, and a good humour, which she found missing in Western society with all its comforts. Our species Homo has inhabited the planet for about 2.5 million years, and throughout the hunter-gatherer age, which represents 99.7% of that time, everyone was free to do whatever they decided to do. It's only in the past 6 to 10,000 years, which is 0.3% of the total period of Homo on the Earth, that we lost this freedom. While you might think 6,000 years is an eternity, in the big picture of human history, it's too short for our underlying genetic structure to have evolved significantly. Under our Nike shirts, we are still basically hunter-gatherers who want to be free. Then we became slaves. The new technology of agriculture progressively ended the hunter-gatherer age and saw the arrival of a completely different era with a completely different way of organising human society. Agriculture enabled an increase in available food supplies, allowed excess food to be stored, and the abundance of this stored energy resulted in specialisation into soldiers, priests, craftsmen, palace and pyramid builders, and an aristocracy which controlled the soldiers and with their military power took control of everything and made most people their slaves. In exchange for food security, most of us lost our freedom and became the property of a king or emperor who had absolute power over our lives. In the hunter-gatherer age, there was no concept of poverty because everyone had access to whatever they needed. In the agricultural age, the powerful few forced the powerless many to build their grand homes, castles and pyramids, while the many lived in squalid huts. Inequality and poverty started here. How we escaped from slavery. In the past 150 years or so, as a result of the Industrial Revolution, we've been gradually reclaiming much of our lost freedom. We've escaped the absolute control of the monarchy and have increasingly made our own decisions rather than following royal orders under threat of death for disobedience. The escape was made possible because the monarchy and its lords discovered that machines were cheaper than slaves or peasants and so kicked them off their land. Those dispossessed peasants who didn't starve to death moved to cities where they found work in the new factories of the Industrial Revolution. But now things were different. Under the monarchy, peasants were stuck for life with their lords, who would punish or kill runaways. But when they were dispossessed, this bond was broken, so they could move from one factory boss to another. This led to unionism, where the power of the boss was balanced by the workers' weapon of going on strike. This new arrangement eventually led to better working conditions and more free time, so that 40 hours of work time per week became normal, with annual leave, long service leave, pensions, unemployment payments, and earlier retirement, providing even more free time. More recently, the information revolution has reduced society's collective working hours even further, with many millions of jobs in factories, offices, banks, and supermarkets being replaced by machines coupled to computers. So what next? We are now about to transition into the age of robots and artificial intelligence, which will see us gain even more freedom as robots do more work and we do less and have more free time. Many people worry that as jobs disappear, they won't be able to pay their bills. But as you will read below, in the longer term, this worry is largely unfounded. Levels of freedom. If you do have a job, you probably divide your life into job time and free time. In job time, if we don't follow orders, we might get fired. So in that sense, it's a softer version of slavery, where we had to follow orders or possibly face a flogging or death. Today, if we are fired, we stay alive, but our job dies. Job time is going to absorb less and less human energy as robots and artificial intelligence do more and more of the stuff people used to do. This is inevitable, is happening already. You can see it, and the trend is clear. Free time includes all the time we're not working for money. It's the time where we're not controlled by a boss, where we can't be fired, and where we're free to do the things we want to do, not the things we have to do. It includes time spent sleeping, eating, washing ourselves and our clothes, and cleaning our cars and houses. As stated earlier, for 99.7% of human existence, we lived mostly in free time, with no concept of jobs. Although we consider a normal job to fill about 40 hours per week, this is a very rough number. More people than ever before don't actually have a job for 40 hours per week. If we take into account students, retirees, the unemployed, the underemployed, those on disability, aged and other pensions, those on long service leave, and people with independent incomes, then today's total working hours per person per year are far less than those of an enslaved peasant, where children worked from an early age, where adults worked till they died, and where there was no retirement and no annual or long service leave. We now have more opportunity to choose our preferred balance between job time and free time than we did even 50 years ago. As we progress further into the robot age and collective working hours decrease even more, we will be able to choose even more free time. Or perhaps it will be chosen for us by unfolding events outside our own control. More people are moving from bigger cities to smaller cities or towns where properties are cheaper, travel times are shorter, and the pressure of living is lower. The result is a more relaxed lifestyle with more free time. You too can decide to move to a smaller town or to live in a smaller, cheaper house or to share a house with others. Alternatively, you can work longer hours to maintain a more lavish material lifestyle. Or if you're really lucky, you have enough money to live on and all your time is free time. Your level of freedom is more under your control than ever before, and in future, it will be even more under your control.